Okay.
Hi, so here we are back at Newton Rig. It's a Tuesday. We think it's the 14th of July. We've just been having a bit of it's the middle of July, let's say. Nice day here at Newton Rig, and we're stood in front of one of our wildflower areas. And if you were stood here with me now, you would hear all the bees and the insect life buzzing around here. And this is fantastic for insects. Everything is buzzing and alive with lots of insect activity, and it's fantastic for little mammals as well to go through the grassland as well here. So we've got a really varied palette of lots of different perennials, and we've even got some weeds in there as well, but everything is enjoying our wild areas. And then when you come across here, we've got our trees. We've got the long grass here with the dog daisies, and if you look down here, we've got the prunella, which the bees love. And towards the back, we've got the lady's bed straw. Prunella, lady's bed straw towards the back. And the long grass, which is obviously for maintenance, it's a lot easier to keep, but it's great for attracting wildlife as well. So here at Newton Rig, we've got lots of areas of longer grass.
And you find me in the dahlia area. Aren't these looking fabulous? When did we plant these? The end of May, Louise? We were risking it with the frost. So dahlias are frost tender. You'll remember us planting them. Look at the growth rate on these. So when we planted them, we did a little bit of pinching out, which enabled them to become bushier plants. You see that the brushing in there. So think of pruning when you start to pick your dahlias, because your pruning technique actually helps them keep flowering. So I'm going to wander down here and pick a few, but when you are picking them, don't know whether the camera can see in here, when you're picking your flowers for vases, actually do good pruning cuts. Go in a nice straight cut above, and then you've got a good flower, but you've also got growth that will allow more flowers. So you're effectively pinching out and pruning as we go. I'm just going to pick a couple as we go along. If you miss them when they're in beautiful flower, deadhead them, and that stops them going to seed. So rather than putting lots of effort into producing a seed head here, if you've missed it and haven't got it in a vase, deadhead it and do the same really good pruning technique in there and take them out. I'm going to walk right round here because you will start noticing at this time of year that it's not just us. There's another one for my bunch of flowers. It's not just us that appreciates dahlias. If you zero in with the camera here, look, and you see those. These are what we would commonly call green fly. They're aphids. We use the term aphid for them, and it's more descriptive really, because when we just say green fly, we expect to find a green insect, and you can see these are completely black. I've got some iridescent blue ones on the aconitum, the monk's hood, at work, and you can get brownie aphids and various shades of green as well. So this is green fly, but look at that. So if I run my fingers up, bit of cultural control there, and they come off, and they are all sucking the sap out of the dahlias, so doing them no good at all. So you can spray for them. I've been known to actually cut off the worst infected areas, almost like a proper dead head, and to dispose of that rather than them spreading onto this, because they are going to almost be disfigured with those aphids. So I'm going to bring the bunch of cut flowers down here as you come down. So we've got lots of different types of flower in here with our dahlias. So these were used to be commonly called a pom-pom. Do you call them pom-poms, Sheila?
Yep.
Yeah, or a decorative ball. Something like this is known as a cacti, so you can imagine a cacti with prickles. We've got this one as it opens out, Christopher Taylor, a beautiful colour. That's called a water lily type. And I must admit, with my love of wildlife, the ones I tend to fall for are these open the singles. So we've got Honker Surprise here, and you can see the actual centre with all the pollen is on display. The insects and the butterflies particularly absolutely love that. So a lot of our doubles don't have the feed for our insects. The one in this hand here is called Don Hill, and that wine colour, I think it's one of my favourite dahlias, and it's called a collarette because it's got that collar on the inside. and there's David Howard there. If you come this way, these are actually dahlias we sowed last year from seed. We just sowed a packet of seed, and these are called the Bishop's Children. Look at the colours in there, and these win my heart over because they've got dark foliage, so they've got a bit of oomph anyway. Look at the contrast with the colours, but they are all singles, and they have that pollinating value for our insects. And if you've got them in the veggie garden, what are you giggling at?
I nearly fell over.
The cameraman nearly fell over again. Sorry, Sheila. Her eyes just went really wide.
Yeah.
But the pollinating insects, when you come and look at this in about a month's time, it'll be just a sea of butterflies. But by attracting the pollinated insects into this area of the garden, as we come round to our vegetable garden area, which you remember we sowed, Ollie, when did we sow this? I'm going to read a label.
Have a look on your label.
Going to have a look on my label. When did we sow them? Right at the beginning of May. So attracting the pollinating insects in with all this wonderful colour behind us is really good, because now our peas and our runner beans and our small French beans are all in flower. So the more pollinating insects we get into this area of the garden, the more likely we're going to have really good pollination and a better crop. In fact, pollination has already occurred, and from sowing those handful of peas, we've actually got pea pods. They're just at that point you can eat them without having to peel the skin out. So the beans are doing really well. They're also in flower. If you look into here, little flowers on there also need to be pollinated. But vegetables such as beetroot, that you can see in here, lovely red leaves, they don't need to be pollinated. They're a root vegetable. And at this end, this should actually come out and be composted, because we haven't been in to actually harvest the lettuce. So this is lettuce going to seed. So if you've got chickens, they absolutely love it. Your hens love it.
Chickens love it.
This is rocket going to seed as well, so it will self-seed and seed around the place. But actually that line is a wonderful addition to the compost heap. So if you have missed the lettuce, pull it out, get it onto the compost heap. But isn't that a great veggie patch now? And I've got myself a bunch of dahlias. I'll hand back over to Louise. Who's going
Hang on. Do you want to talk about staking? Just a little bit on staking.
Yeah, you got a steak
Oh,
in
we
there.
could.
Yeah,
I'll
just a
finish
little.
chewing my pea.
We're on 7.5 minutes, just so you know.
Right. So they're saying we should talk about staking. Ideally, in the real world, staking should be done when the plants are only just kind of getting going. So I've been handed some hazel here. So we harvested this as a product when we were doing our pruning. It's no longer quite as flexible. But if you do it earlier in the season when the plants are younger, you can actually bend them and twist them together. I love using brash rather than panes because you're far less likely to have bits that you put your eye into when you're cutting, and it's also more sympathetic. You can hardly see the brash in there. So what we're hoping to do is stop these dahlias going over. So we haven't been in the garden as much as we'd like to be, but they're still upright at the moment, so the trick is to get your plants staked before they actually collapse. So I'm just going to push in a couple of these hazel sticks around the edges. And if you bear staking in mind when you're pruning in the spring, you can actually save yourself material to use. So I'm just going to bend that round like that, do a little bit of a twist round, pull this down again. Just mind your eyes. I've forgotten my sunglasses today, but I normally would have glasses on when doing that. So we will work around the edges. If you've got bigger pieces, put them in between the rows as well, and that'll stop the wind decimating it. It's a lot better to stake plants before they need it. Ideally, they're growing up through the stakes and being held into position. So we're going to work around quietly today, picking ourselves some bunches of dahlias to take home and staking the rest of them up. So that's what we're going to do. So do save yourself sticks. Don't throw them on a bonfire or chip them. And actually they could be incredibly useful. Okay.
Perfect.
Right, Louise, you're going to trundle off to the compost area.
Let's go into the polytunnel first and have a look and see how our pumpkins are doing that we planted a few weeks ago. Come through here, it's like a wild tunnel coming through. Here we go. So you might remember we planted these a few weeks ago. We cut down our green manure crop, which is trying to grow again, and we planted our pumpkins. This one is doing particularly well. And we can see here we haven't got any pumpkins set yet. Oh, we might have one here actually, little one there, look. But we've got a lot of flowers to come, and the pumpkins are starting to spread out as well. That one's already gone. Right the way over here, look. That's the end of it there, so you can see how
About
trailing.
6 foot.
Yeah, how trailing they are. And there's flowers and baby pumpkins on the end as well. So that one's doing really well. These ones aren't probably doing quite as well, but it could just be situation. This one here is doing particularly well. It's right out here, and we're getting little pumpkins set. So I think we maybe need to pull out some more of this green manure. You see there, Sheila? Look, little pumpkins coming on the end there. So they're all doing really well, and we're hopeful that when everybody gets back to college, we're going to have some nice pumpkins to show you.
Do you want to mention the watering?
Oh yeah, so what we've done here is we've put in some pieces of drain pipe, and then you can water straight into that, and what it does is it stops the water evaporating, and it makes sure that the water gets right down at the roots of that pumpkin. So it's a really good way to water in here, and it also it isn't wasting any water. So if you're saving your water, that's a really good way to use it, to pour it down the pipe and water straight to the roots. We're going to come across and have a look in our
Half a minute.
compost heap. So you can see our compost heap is nice and full. We keep filling it up, it keeps going down, we keep filling it up again. So what we're waiting for now is students coming back to college so that we can empty the compost on the other side and we can turn this into it. So we can't wait to see you back.